I hear it all the time. Going off ain't on the same shit. So innovative. Y'all the next best thing, sis. Whatever. I just laugh with it. Cause today's fan is tomorrow's rap critic. It's the Going Off podcast with Rap Critic and Muse. So we gotta get into it because we got a special guest with us today.
Yes, welcome to the Going Off podcast, Dorian Dawes. How would you like to introduce yourself? Like, what? That was shit.
What is it that you do? What? We invited you, but we have no idea who you are, what you do. Actually, who is this person that just wandered into the studio?
Back up. Let's let them introduce themselves.
Hi.
let the people know.
All right. Hi, I'm Dorian Dawes. I am an author of fantasy, science fiction, and horror. I have a monthly blog/article column called Ethics and World Building. I also do Game Master Advice for D&D, Pathfinder, and any sorts of tabletop RPG you might have played. I also tweet quite a bit.
Is there anything you would want people to check out in particular?
I have one book out currently. It's called Harbinger Island. You can get off of Amazon and Goodreads under Manifold Press. And next month with 9 Star Press, I have a science fiction novel coming out called Mercs, featuring a trans bounty hunter as the main character named Talisha Artool. She's very cool, and if you like science fiction and trans characters, you should check that out.
We just wanted to have you on because I know you primarily from the tweets.
Yep, from the tweets. I'm a professional twit.
I highlighted a few, and I was like, you know what? One of them we were supposed to talk about last week. We had to postpone for...
Yeah, I've been traveling. I had to go to a wedding in North Carolina, so I've been traveling all around and shit. And I was thinking about going to Gastonia.
You didn't even let me know you were in town.
Dude, I'm not in town, motherfucker. I'm in the state, but you know North Carolina, every southern state is fucking huge.
Nah, man, everything is a hop, skip, and a jump. Everything is a fucking 15-minute walk. Where were you? Like, what city?
Yeah, Charlottesville Charlotte is just in Gastonia's back door, in his backyard.
Were you in Charlotte?
No. I'm in Greensboro currently.
Oh, yeah, fuck that.
You made a tweet, and I want to talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, we've got, I am a black, staunch, alt-right conservative. No, I'm playing.
Oh, no.
Yo,
what have I been
for a second, though.
It was a trap all along.
I have to go.
Not like this. Here's what was said. He said, okay, I have to say the new Roseanne sucks, but it's weird some of you are acting like it's so uniquely poisonous. And I agree with that, because I remember being like, wait, why are we acting like Roseanne's like, oh man, she is totally bad. And then you know, on top of that, someone actually pointed out something. They're like, oh, you know, Roseanne's talking all this shit. I don't like the Colin Kaepernick disrespecting the flag and that. Meanwhile, the one thing I remember about fucking Roseanne, other than that stupid show that I didn't watch, was on In Living Color when they made fun of the fact that she, like, sang the national anthem horribly.
Roseanne has just been kind of, like, on this, like declining garbage fire for like the past decade. It feels like getting more and more outwardly conservative, especially I think a lot of it has to do with her like really intense hatred of trans people, and like, you know, like TERFs and conservatives are like very easy allies, so it all makes sense to me. Like you can kind of watch that trajectory.
I never fucking paid Roseanne Barr the least bit of attention.
Yeah.
I never watched Roseanne. My parents did. I never thought the shit was funny.
It just felt kind of like, I already have Married with Children, so I'm just gonna watch that. Like, that's my trashy comedy show. Like,
Roseanne,
you know what I'm saying?
was like the mainstream. It's safer. It's not gonna be as in your face as Married with Children. But I never did any of that. I never fucked with her in any way. Recently, I had heard about that whole thing from a long-ass time ago. I didn't even see it when it first happened, but she had done a photo shoot for a magazine cover.
Oh, yeah, I saw that shit, too! Where she was, like, dressed like Hitler, and it was just like, what's the joke? Because it looks like you just want to dress like Hitler.
I feel like she is constantly trying to walk this line between being, like, really edgy, but also, like, being really traditionalist, and it's, like, it's just very weird.
Now, I want to get on to the next thing you said, right? You said, it really is no worse than your average Family Guy episode. We all know Peter would have voted for Trump. That was the line where I was like, well,
I think so.
So Peter is incredibly selfish. He's incredibly selfish. He hates women, absolutely hates women. He treats his wife like shit. He treats his daughter like he absolutely abuses his daughter. Don't know if Peter is working or middle class or not. Like, it's kind of very vague. Yeah. So he's a middle class suburban white man who hates women and thinks only about himself. That is your average. Yeah, he's literally the average profile of a Trump voter. On top of the rampant transphobia, homophobia, fat phobia, sexism, racism, that's all in that show. Yeah, that it's just as I didn't see anything in Roseanne that was any worse than what I've seen in Family Guy or South Park.
I feel like his character is trying to be that callback to, the All in the Family. Like, the show even starts that way. Hey, remember Archie Bunker? I'm kind of being like that. But the joke being that, oh, but Peter doesn't actually learn his lesson in this show. That's the subversion. However, the problem with any piece of media is that when you, what's the phrase? The medium is the message, right? It doesn't matter if the point that you're trying to do is a takedown of the sitcom and the idea of learning a lesson. And the idea is that, well, what if we did the opposite? He doesn't learn a lesson. He actually just gets worse. It's like, that's an interesting concept. But if you don't have something to temper, to try to tell people, so what are you actually trying to say?
There's no moral center in the show besides Meg, who just consistently suffers.
And Brian, who it just turned out to basically just be another form of the libertarian atheist douchebag thing.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And
so,
Peter never suffers. He never faces any consequences. He never has any takedowns. He never has any moral moments. Contrast Homer Simpson, who is actually quite sympathetic, despite Homer having many similar awful qualities. Homer becomes sympathetic because Homer at least learns in some cases, or at least faces consequences for the people that he does hurt, whereas Peter just gets away consistently scot-free.
Okay, so one episode in particular pissed me the fuck off. It was the episode where Meg Griffin is of course being abused by the family, but for once she decides to stand up, right? She talks back and she goes this is fucking stupid. I'm tired of being treated that way. And she dresses down Peter, dresses down Lois, dresses down everyone in the family. But then she's like, oh, but I'm not really happy, or the whole family hates me and everything, everything's falling into disarray. And the joke moral is that, well, the family needs a lightning rod.
Wow, holy shit, I didn't see that one.
The point of the episode kind of comes to the conclusion that if she's not there to be abused by the family, they're just going to abuse each other. So that's her role, is to be the family abused whipping boy, as it were. And it's sickening. It's really morally repulsive.
When we talk about All in the Family, I often go to a much more modern example, and I always bring up Always Sunny, because with Always Sunny, they're all terrible people.
But they all face consequences.
They face consequences, yes. And they're miserable.
Yeah,
they're not happy in how shitty they are. They often make reference to how terrible their lives are and what has got them to that point. It gives you the background.
So moving on to the next thing you say, I'm really doing a tweet dissect here, because this I actually don't know about, so I actually would like you to inform me. Said, remember how bizarrely right-winged and borderline racist the first season of the X-Files reboot was?
Oh my god. Okay, so I stopped watching because I kind of was afraid that they were going to take it a direction and that they ended up taking it in. So but yeah, there was this Alex Jones style conspiracy theorist. And he explicitly is super it's not a subtle show, right? And he ends up being right. And then there's this weird terrorist subplot that's just really fucking racist. I don't even want to go into the whole thing because it just, but yeah, but this happens a lot, right? We get all these our media panders consistently to the right, consistently to the worst aspects of conservatism. But for some reason with Roseanne, I guess it's somehow different for people, even though this is a consistent problem.
She's not relevant, and so it's easier to dump on her.
Yeah,
she has no financial power right now, so it's real easy to be look, hey, we found the one Hollywood Trump voter, let's dump on her.
Yeah, it feels like they're just scapegoating her, which I have no sympathy for Roseanne. Like, again, she's been absolutely horrible for years, so it couldn't have happened to a nicer person. At the same time, I'm like, y'all are just letting all the other, like, why does Seth MacFarlane keep getting to be like a transphobic, misogynistic dick face?
You know what the whole Roseanne thing reminded me of was the recently canceled Last Man Standing with other outspoken Hollywood conservative Tim Allen. And when Last Man Standing got canceled, all these Trump voters got up in arms about how, oh, this is an attack on conservatives and they're punishing Tim Allen because he's a conservative. It's like, had anyone just thought to themselves that maybe the show just maybe wasn't performing well, or maybe it was just getting bad reviews? Like, I watched one episode of Last Man Standing for a web series of our own. He was Archie Bunker unlikable, but there was no joke to it. It was just,
right.
Oh man, he's homophobic, he's rude to his family, and they just let him get away with it.
It's like if Archie Bunker got to write All in the Family.
And they let it go on for like 6 some odd seasons. Like,
yeah,
dude.
Apparently it's been on for a while, so it's not like it was like, oh, one episode, and then all the liberals came and protested.
Yeah, I'm about to say 6 seasons. I'd say that's a pretty successful run for a TV show. The X-Files got so bad, like, the last season that I think David Duchovny and, I forgot her name. God, may the gays forgive me. Gillian Anderson. That's horrible. I think they're not coming back. Like, they're just like, no. Like,
wow.
it's yeah.
Wow. They're like, you gonna do this shit? You can't do it with us.
Yeah.
A lot of conservative comedy is just exaggerating something. Like, liberal comedy is pointing out the irony of a situation, right? Oh, Trump is okay with this, but he's not okay with that. You know what I'm saying? But with conservatives, it's like you want the Mexicans to come over and rape our women and do all this. It's just like all this over-the-top shit, and it's just like...
It's just like, where's the joke there? You're just prophesying doom and gloom, and it's not really, like, what I would call a joke.
It's like, is there a setup and punchline to this? It sounds like you're just ranting.
I'm about to tear your world apart because I am not going to let you stand there and bash my conservative comedians. You can't tell me that you didn't see this gem from Mike Huckabee.
What?
Okay, so if you haven't, I'm gonna try to read this and tell me that this doesn't fucking knock your socks off.
Oh,
Had a colonoscopy today. My doctor was actually Russian. Now that is what I call Russian meddling. They put me to sleep with the same stuff Michael Jackson used. When I woke up, I moonwalked right out of the hospital.
That is fascinatingly horrible.
Mike Huckabee's jokes are just like the most like linguistically amazing things to look at.
like what the is he at what point does he actually like laugh at this shit? Like, what's happening?
Halfway through he had to stop himself. Should I really go for 2 jokes in one tweet? I don't know if I can handle it.
Just like, yo, he really thought he was up in the ante.
It feels like halfway through he forgot what his original joke was and transitioned to another one.
Did either of you run into any April Fool's jokes on
No!
April Fool's Day?
I
think that shit's just done.
I felt weird. That I put out a joke episode. I'm looking around like, goddamn, where's everybody?
I ran into one April Fool's joke. Path of Exile temporarily changed the name of their game to Path of Exile Battle Royale. And was like, we've decided to ignore all of the previous genre of the game and decide to cash in on that PUBG goodness.
I saw one thing on Facebook. It was like, he's been in England, he's been in space, he's been such and such. Now, Doctor Who comes to America. And it's like, Bruce Campbell as Doctor Who. I was like, all right, that's silly. But like...
Okay, but I would watch the fuck out of that. This is my problem with companies doing April Fool's jokes, is that it's very often they're making fun of something that people actually want. Like Capcom put out like a Mega Man dating sim announcement for April Fool's, and I'm like, yeah, but people would actually play this. You can't just announce this shit. I did briefly consider tweeting out something like, capitalism is an efficient system as an April Fool's joke, but I realized, but I was like, no, like there's like at least 15 people who would think I would be serious. hilarious. So I didn't do it.
Yeah, saying that phrase, like, if you came out and said some ridiculous shit like, in capitalism, I honestly feel like the poor people kind of deserve to be where they are. Like, there's somebody on the internet who does believe that, so you can't joke about that.
I could tweet out something like, I'm so excited, for our first woman president. It means a woman would finally get to drop the bombs next time, as like a facetious joke. But, someone would be like, it really makes you feel excited to be a part of history.
But here's the thing. Someone would retweet that, so some conservative would be like, aha, I knew it all along.
Oh, God, they do this, too. They do this all the time. Like, I think it was Craig who tweeted out that was like, November 20th, we're going to go out and behead all the white people.
Oh, yeah!
Antifa's going to go out and behead, I can't remember what date it was like, but on such 20th, Antifa's going to go out and behead all the white people, and I'm so excited. And it, hit the news! You can't write jokes like that anymore, because someone is going to believe it, and it's just not fun.
You went to a point about conservatives and zombie media.
Oh, I'm actually really excited about this, because I'm actually going to make this, my topic for my next ethics and world building article, but all right. I've been kind of doing research on this because based off of my own experiences, like around the time that I was a teenager, I was really into zombies, but I was weird because of that. And then 2 years later, zombie media fucking blew up and then kept blowing up.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it hit really big with the conservative groups, and I started noting similarities in the rhetoric between the idea of, well, guns are good, government bad, and then I get to blow away everyone I don't like, and I get to be in charge. It's kind of like conservative fantasy. Well, then while I was doing my research the other day for the article and trying to find out other things about the zombie genre, going back to the history of the genre, because the genre also has a weird racist history too. Romero kind of one of the things that he did when he created Night of the Living Dead was he erased he took out some of the racist origins of the zombie fantasy story, and he ripped them out of the genre and by turning it on its head. And then conservatives brought that back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm trying to say. All right.
I found an article by a conservative writer named David French who kind of lists out my argument for me, but but he's like, these are all good things.
It would be funny if you just quoted his article but didn't make it clear, and then you're like, this is what a conservative actually believes.
This is what they actually believe. So in Fear the Walking Dead, he brings up that there is a scene where zombies pop up in heroin shooting galleries and police are filmed gunning down an undead aggressor. The public assumes it's an act of police brutality and not self-defense, and no one believes that it's a zombie, so no one gets warned when the actual invasion comes out, which is
what? Wait.
Yeah, this actually happened. So remember, and also this goes back to my tweets about Roseanne, where it's why is Roseanne considered so uniquely poisonous when stuff like this is on TV too?
Yeah, because that's very clear coding.
Yeah, it's extremely fucking clear. Conservatives and zombie culture, they've really taken over the genre, because it also relates to the fear of the foreign horde, right? The savage, savage, and the fears of cannibalism that are rooted also in racist beliefs about Haitian cultures. So all of that kind of ends up bleeding together in this hyper gun-driven fantasy where they get to wield their guns against all the evil foreign brown people they don't like.
Basically, they get to be right about it without having to think about it.
Exactly, they get to be right without having to. It's like a new form of dog whistling for me. They're like, I just want to kill all the zombies, and okay, why are all of your zombies black and gay and cannibals? It's just, it's very weird. Which is my problem with 50s and 60s nostalgia in beginning, because we tend to base a lot of our nostalgia of these time periods based off of the media that came out about during that time, ignoring that it is not an accurate representation of what was going on in the world.
Because that shit was propaganda.
Exactly.
It wasn't saying, hey guys, here's what's normal. They're saying, here's what we want to be normal.
People look at me and go, oh, the 80s seemed like such an amazing time to live in. And I'm just like, yeah, if you were a cishet white person, sure.
Everything was neon and everyone was so happy.
Everyone was so happy, and there was so much creativity and art. I'm there's still creativity in art. These things didn't go away. The only thing that went away is Reagan and Thatcher's moldy, maggot-ridden corpses, which, thank God.
Oh, shit.
Anti-sodomy laws. That's what went away in the 80s. And you know what? Thank fuck.
The one question on that same thread, and now it's old hat, so we can't even talk about it at this point, which is a shame, but the whole Killer Mike thing. This is episode 150 of the podcast, by the way, and
oh, yeah.
We were originally planning to do a thing where we were going to cover a Run the Jewels song as the intro, where Darren was going to do the Killer Mike parts, and I was going to do the LP parts, and it was all going to be a cute little thing, and everyone was going to love it, because it's the host of the show, and they're rapping along to a song we like. And then fucking Killer Mike came out, and he was like, if my kid participated in the walkout, I wouldn't let him back into the house. And we were just like fuck me, and man.
Now, mind you, he literally said that after saying, oh, I don't believe in just following the leader of the mainstream media. Oh, whatever they tell you, that's what you do. No, I'm my own man. So if my son doesn't listen to me, then he gets kicked out. Like, wait, but you just said, so your thing is...
Killer Mike makes me so sad because I feel like he says some very profound and really good things sometimes. He was very right when he said that gun control, if passed in America, would definitely be instituted in a racist manner because we do have a racist legal system. But then he says it on NRA's platform, which I'm just like,
It feels like everything he said in that NRA TV review was like, this sounds like a parody of what they think Killer Mike's arguments are. I don't think anyone is, hey, this is the way I feel right now, and that'll always be how I feel forever, ever, ever, and that's always how I always felt. It's like, it could very well be that it was just like, in the moment, we've all had moments where you're following a conversation, and you're like, wait a minute, do I actually think that? Yeah, oh, well, we should totally get rid of those, but yeah, that would make gun control easier. And it's just like, wait, well, hold on a minute. Did I just reveal something about myself? Wait a minute. And then you backtrack, and then you analyze what you did, and if you're a self-critical person, you're like, oh, shit, that was fucked up. Especially on TV. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute, I want to make it clear that that's not okay.
I had a heated NRA moment.
The idea of saying, I would disown my son if he doesn't agree with me on something, that especially sent Notre Dame type of bells off in my fucking head.
That's particularly warning, because I hear that rhetoric a lot, from people who talk about if their kids were gay. That's what bothers me, because the language for that statement.
Killer Mike had just one of the shitty apologies in March alongside Laura Ingraham, and I thought shitty apologies were going to be limited to March, but I just saw a shitty one yesterday. But Killer Mike's, that's as far as I'm going into that one. Killer Mike, he issued an apology for his statements, but he directed them solely to the children from Parkland and the March for Our Lives marches. Basically going like, hey, what I said was taken out of context, it was used to discredit your movement, and I support you guys 100%. And it was like, all right, cool. What about all the other shit?
So what about the shit that you said that was in context?
Yeah, like, what are your feelings on that? Is that okay? Like, he's, like, that totally reeked of damage control to, oh shit, I'm looking like I'm shit-talking a bunch of kids. I can't have that. But it's like, all right. How about the points where you, like, word for word quoted the NRA spokesperson and said all this other shit? Like, you stand by that now?
I'm still really stuck on the fact that he said all of this shit while on NRA's platform. Like, that's
here's my thing. The thing, yeah, it's like the NRA. Like, you remember the Philando Castile thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Remember when it was like, yo, he confessed to the officer that he had a gun, and the police officer just shot him, and it was just like, yo, he was just trying to tell you so that you don't freak out. That it's like, hey, but I am a licensed carrier, you know what I mean? He was a member, he did all the right things that he was supposed to do, still got shot, and then everyone's eyes turned to the NRA like, yo, this is your moment to say, look, we're not racist, because we're standing with Philando Castile. Fucking crickets. Where's your full-throated response that you have with every fucking thing else? Oh, there's been a school shooting. Let Charleston Heston go down to a fucking courthouse and be like, yeah, they will take it from my cold dead hands.
They don't want black people to be armed. Like, the NRA wants. This gets back to what I said about like conservatives and zombie media and gun culture. Is they want white people to be armed against the savage horde. Quotes. That's what they're pushing. That's their message.
They talk all this shit like, no, we're fighting against the government. Government government tyranny. But like you said, it was we need to trust the government. We need to work with them. Concerning cops, we need to respect cops. We need to respect authority. We need to. But then when Obama came in office, holding my gun, ain't nobody gonna take it. When the black guy is in power, all of a sudden the government's bad. Mr. Alex Jones could not wait to dive his nose back into the White House's ass when it comes to Trump. But what I hate about it is that they don't have to admit that, right? They literally don't have to, because this is what they do. They don't say, hey, we're not supporting Philando Castile because he's black. No, they just don't say anything. It's hard to get someone on their racism and on their bullshit and call them out when, yeah, they'll be full-throated, coincidentally, when the white person is in trouble. But for the black person, I just slept through that alarm. I just didn't hear it. Oh, man, wow. What a coincidence. I just happened to be outside when the news story happened.
Reagan and Bush's and Nixon's and Clinton's Southern strategy, where they don't have to say racism. They just institute, we just want a future for your children. They don't have to say white children because they know society is going to fill in the blanks for them. It's very much how the NRA operate. They don't have to mention race to know that their viewers are going to get the message.
Like, perfect example. Remember that ad back in the day? Who's going to pick up the phone at 12 a.m. when your kid is asleep or something like that? And then you see like a kid playing with a flower and you see a bomb go off or some shit like that. And of course it's a little white kid, because they were not going to have a little Mexican kid in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it was a little Mexican kid in there, that ad would have passed by and no one would have remembered it to this fucking day. But a little white girl picking a little flower, oh no!
Oh no, little white girl fell down the well.
Exactly. And now, I'm not saying you should not save little white girls who fall down wells. I'm just saying let's help the black girls that fall down the wells too.
There's a well falling down crisis in America, and we need all of our kids to be safe.
Make a Sonic Says about not falling down wells.
Hey kids, falling down wells is no good.